So shall we begin? Good evening, everyone. I welcome all of you for today's session. Before we start with the session, I'd like to give an outline of what the MyNEP Contest is. The MyNEP Contest is a fun and interactive means of engagement with students, teachers, and parents, hosted by Vidya Bharati Akhil Bharatiya Shiksha Sanstha to raise and gauge the general awareness about NEP. Participants are encouraged to explore their creativity as well as knowledge of the NEP through various means competitions like quiz, letter to the Prime Minister, painting, meme making, etc. to name a few. Participants will be awarded with prizes and participation certificates for their respective submissions. For today's session, we are honored to have with us Dr. Chetan Singhai. We welcome you, sir, who will speak on the topic 2020 between policy and practice. Dr. Singha is a member of the committee to finalize the draft National Education Policy 2020 constituted by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, now the Ministry of Education. Dr. Singha is also the recipient of the prestigious Social Justice Medal awarded by the Ministry of Law and Justice, Government of India. Sir is also a member of the Academic Council, Karnataka Residential Educational Institution Society, Government of Karnataka. We're honored to have you with, sir. The floor is yours. Thank you so much.
थैंक यू फॉर द इंट्रोडक्शन एंड सबको पहला मेरा प्रणाम एंड अभी जो NEP 2020 है जो 21st सेंचुरी का जो फर्स्ट पॉलिसी डायरेक्शन हमको जो अभी नया दौर पे लेके जाने का एक संदेश दे रहा है आई थिंक वी हैव टू डिस्कस अबाउट इट बिकॉज इट्स इम्पोर्टेंट टू अंडरस्टैंड what is the policy and what are the issues at the practice level and how to bring them together and all our young minds who are listening who are going to be the beneficiaries of this particular policy and its direction, not just for today, for years to come, like how we were seeing the previous policies also as part of generation we are part of. Now the future generation is going to be reflective of that. So for that, I would like to share two important points. One is what is the policy life cycle? How was this policy made? Because most of us hear it from various sources, but in bits of experiential insight. But as an insider, how do we see the policy was made so that you get the thoughtful process there. So I would like to share two slides quickly. Uh, just 1 second. Yeah. Because this is something which I can only show through pictorial representation. So is my slide visible to the concern? Can you see the slide? Yeah. So when we see the
Yes,
policy,
sir, yes, sir.
yeah, when you hear the policy, a policy has its own life cycle, and every policy is what we say considered to be the POLICY. PO is periodically organized, LI is legally induced, CY of the policy is for calculated yields. So when we say periodically organized, so this policy comes in after 34 years of policy which was there in the last for the last education system that we were directed to. Second, it's legally induced. It is embedded and embellished within the larger framework of the constitution and its mandate. And calculated yields, so yields for students, yields for the larger young minds and aspirations that we set forth for the country. So a policy has to think through all these things, and when the policy is made, the policy makers, the committee, has to also think through many complex issues. And because they are looking at not only India of the last 34 years, but also looking for India for the next 34, 40 years. So it is kind of retrospect as well as prospect. So it's not an easy task, it's a complex task. So for that, we need to value what we had while we look for what we need to have. So in essence, first the committee looked into what were the past reports and policies that we had, analyzed that. Then we had consultations across the country as a committee. Then there were analysis of those consultations which were coming to the ministry, then MHRD, now MOE. Then they were grouped into 25 themes. For example, regulatory mechanisms would be one theme, autonomy is another theme, accountability is another theme. So 25 themes were grouped into from school education, from early childhood education to up to the postdoctoral studies. Then consultations were held also in order to streamline the themes and trying to understand what are the issues to be considered. Then here I would like to bring to your notice very, very important point, the global practices in education. When we say global, it is not just the West, it is not just the developed world. Global could also mean immediate neighborhood. For example, the National Education Policy of Bhutan. Please read that document. It is publicly available document. If you Google it, simply you will get it. Where it can be very clearly seen that education, more importantly, learning, creates happiness, ensures that cultural diversity to be acknowledged, plurality to be promoted, and so and so forth. And the country itself is known for being happiest country to the extent of the gross national happiness that we have for Bhutan. So that itself became a reference point in many sense of it. Then literature survey. Again, this is again I would like to provoke our young minds listening that there's not much empirical research कि एजुकेशन सेक्टर में क्या हो रहा है एक एम्पिरिकल स्टडी जो हम चाहते हैं वो बिल्कुल ही कम है एक्चुअली वी शुड हैव बीन इन द फोरफ्रंट बिकॉज एजुकेशनल प्रैक्टिसेस हमारा जो इंडिया में है बहुत यूनिक है उसका एक रिसर्च होना चाहिए उसका एक संशोधन होना चाहिए बट वेरी वेरी लिमिटेड because mostly people from the west are coming to India and doing research on Indian issues, but Indians doing research on Indian issues is very less. And literature survey doing the process told us, I think our young minds, you are all what you call the units of analysis in yourself as a school children, as a higher education student, you are a unit of analysis for yourself. बट आपका एक रिसर्च का जो इम्पोर्टेंट है वो पॉलिसी को बहुत अच्छा डायरेक्शन देने का प्रयास होता है तो इसलिए इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टू डू व्हाट यू कॉल रिसर्च ऑन our issues, local issues. So in essence, after this process, the committee submitted the draft in May 2019, end of May 2019 to the then MHRD, today's Minister of Education. But I would like to bring to quickly a notice to this red line here. Between the draft and the present version, 484 pages का जो draft था और 66 pages का जो अभी ये document हमको जो cabinet approval हुआ है July 29, 2020 को, there was another important process which is not much visible or was not much discussed for reason because they worked very efficiently in a much more silently as a very dedicated team which was called committee to finalize the draft NEP जो nationwide जो एक ड्राफ्ट को पब्लिक डोमेन में रखा गया था मई एंड से लेके अप टू सितंबर 15 तक जो पब्लिक डोमेन में डॉक्यूमेंट था ड्राफ्ट डॉक्यूमेंट उसके ऊपर जो कमेंट्स आए थे सजेशंस आए थे which was around 2.5 to 3 lakh suggestions which were received comments which were received was reviewed each suggestion and comment was reviewed by that committee to finalize the draft NEP and appropriate amendments were made to the draft and then the final version came in on July 29 2020 after deliberations with right. So in a way, the entire slide tells you that a policy life cycle जो है वो बहुत ही यूनिक रहता है और बहुत ही कॉम्प्लेक्स रहता है बट अभी जो 66 पेज डॉक्यूमेंट हमको मिला है वो एक सिंप्लीफाइड वर्जन ऑफ द एंटायर लाइफ साइकिल so that is what I want to bring to your notice to all the young minds that it is important to appreciate the process and then debate and dialogue. That's our right and that's our freedom that we have to debate and have dialogue. But the process have to be first appreciated because we are talking about what was there 34 years ago and what needs to be there for the next 40 years. So imagine it is a document for almost 80 years or 75 to 80 years. So that is one point. From this, we found out that the committee found out there are 11 challenges in higher education. And I will not discuss the challenges, I'll only put it on the slide because I will talk more about the implementation. That is, this is the policy, and the policy looked at 11 challenges, which is basically the state of practice. जो challenges हम अभी face कर रहे हैं higher education में, ये जो process मैं screen पे दिखा रहा हूँ, उसके आधार पे वो 11 challenges identify किया गया वो 11 challenges को आइडेंटिफाई करके उसका एक जो रिफॉर्म हम लोग लाना चाहते हैं उसका अप्रोप्रिएट रिकमेंडेशन पॉलिसी में बोला गया है what are those 11 challenges I will not discuss in detail whenever there is a complex word I like to highlight it first is fragmented higher education system according to all India survey of higher education हमारे यहाँ 44,000 प्लस कॉलेजेस हैं और 953 and plus universities है but in that what we see especially colleges 44,000 plus colleges में 3% of the colleges have enrollment of 3,000 students and above with around 250 to 300 faculty members whereas 20% of the 44,000 colleges have enrollment of 100 or less than 100 students so you are seeing a huge differentiation like there are a few who have many students and there are many who have very few students दैट इज अ फ्रैगमेंटेड सिस्टम उसका रिसोर्स हमको देखा गया है कि एग्रीकल्चर में भी फ्रैगमेंटेड लैंड होता है फार्मर का उसका प्रोड्यूस भी बहुत कम होता है ना अगर बड़ा लैंड है, बड़ा एक एग्रीकल्चर फार्म है, तो प्रोड्यूस भी ज्यादा होता है. So resource utilization becomes very important. So fragmented education system is a challenge. Appropriately, recommendations have been made in the policy. Then less emphasis on cognitive skills and learning outcomes. Then rigid separation. हमारे यहाँ ये होता है कि अरे मैं तो एक फिजिक्स स्टूडेंट हूँ, आई डोंट इवन वांट टू केयर व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इन इकोनॉमिक्स. मैं तो इकोनॉमिक्स स्टूडेंट हूँ, फिजिक्स में क्या होता है हमको कुछ संबंध नहीं है. सो दैट ये जो रिजिड बाउंड्रीज हम लोग हमारे एजुकेशन सिस्टम में लेके आए, नॉट ओनली एज स्टूडेंट बट ऑल्सो टीचर्स, कि हम लोग एक इंटरेक्शन नहीं देते. बट वही स्टूडेंट जो अब्रॉड जाता है, तो इकोनॉमिक स्टूडेंट शोज इंटरेस्ट इन केमिस्ट्री ऑल्सो, केमिस्ट्री स्टूडेंट शोज इंटरेस्ट इन हिस्ट्री ऑल्सो. सो दैट काइंड ऑफ एनवायरमेंट इज देयर. बट हियर ऑल्सो वी शुड, बिकॉज नालंदा तक्षशिला मॉडल जो हमारा था वो इस मॉडल पे ही आधार था. So here also we should promote it, but that rigid separation is happening, and that has created early specialization. हम लोग बहुत जल्दी हमारे हायर एजुकेशन के जर्नी में बहुत जल्दी ही हम लोग एक हमारा एक रिजिड स्पेशलाइजेशन क्रिएट करते हैं, इसलिए हमारा ऑप्शंस भी कम हो जाता है हायर स्टडीज या एम्प्लॉयमेंट के बेसिस पे. दैट्स मेजर चैलेंज. देन एक्सेसिबिलिटी हमारा एक इंडिपेंडेंस बहुत ही सीरियस प्रॉब्लम रहा है, एंड इट कंटिन्यूज टू बी अ प्रॉब्लम दैट हैज टू बी एड्रेस्ड इन हायर एजुकेशन. उसके यहाँ पे फॉर एनईपी में क्या बोला गया है कि जो एग्जिस्टिंग इंस्टीट्यूशन है उसके अलावा सेटिंग अप न्यू इंस्टीट्यूशंस, इन एडिशन टू दैट हैविंग ऑनलाइन एज वेल एज ओपन डिस्टेंस लर्निंग should be also promoted, is what they tend to make a point. Then limited teacher and institutional autonomy. It's very important thing. Every institution must have autonomy. Am I audible here? Just want to cross check. Hello? Yeah. Okay. So limited teacher and institutional autonomy. जो हमारे यहाँ है, हम it's not like all the institutions have lost autonomy. वो क्या बोलते हैं कि हमारे यहाँ जो 950 प्लस यूनिवर्सिटी है और 44,000 कॉलेजेस है, उसमें ही देयर इज आइलैंड्स ऑफ एक्सीलेंस इन द सी ऑफ मीडियोक्रिटी. लाइक इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ साइंस है, आईआईटीज है, आईआईएम्स है. देयर आर आइलैंड्स ऑफ एक्सीलेंस, दे आर डूइंग एक्सीलेंट वर्क, बट देयर आर मेनी हु आर स्टिल स्ट्रगलिंग टू have that autonomy and freedom and have teacher autonomy. Then inadequate measures of career management, less emphasis on research. But university में research हो रहा है, but colleges में because of excessive teaching load, because of excessive emphasis on teaching, research is very limited. I think students should get an opportunity at that stage also, because हमारे यहाँ almost every undergraduate student is a researcher within themselves. Only thing is there's no opportunity to pursue research, and teachers also have to promote it. Then ये वाला जो पॉइंट है रेड में, सब ऑप्टिमल गवर्नेंस एंड लीडरशिप is a very important thing. At every collegiate level or every higher education institution level, we need to have a broad thinking leader and a broad thinking governance model. Then ineffective regulatory systems. So what happens is institutions want to be autonomous, they want to do something new, but the regulatory system is always keeping the last person in mind. जो वो बोलते हैं ना कि जो परफॉर्मेंस जो ढंग से नहीं कर रहा है उसका हम लोग रेफरेंस लेके जो अच्छा करने वाला है उनको भी हम लोग रोक रहे हैं. मतलब एक कारपेट और अ जेनरिक रेगुलेटरी सिस्टम है, but it has to be effective and empowering regulatory. It is right now ineffective and disempowering. And lastly, आपने देखा होगा जो स्टूडेंट्स इधर सुन रहे हैं, स्पेशली एफिलिएशन सिस्टम से जो आ रहे हैं, एफिलिएटिंग कॉलेजेस में ऑटोनॉमी नहीं है करिकुलम डेवलप करने के लिए, नया करिकुलम बनाने के लिए भी बहुत ही कम स्पेस है. एग्जामिनेशन सिस्टम चेंज करने के लिए भी हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी का परमिशन लेना है, उसका एक अलग सा प्रोसेस है. इट्स सो कॉम्प्लिकेटेड. मोर देन द कॉलेज ऑल्सो, यूनिवर्सिटी जो एफिलेटिंग कर रहा है उसका भी बहुत सारा प्रेशर है, बिकॉज दे हैव टू कॉन्स्टेंटली फोकस ऑन रनिंग द एफिलिएशन सिस्टम रादर देन इनोवेशन इन देयर ओन यूनिवर्सिटी, जो पब्लिक स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी हम लोग बोलते हैं. सो इन एसेंस व्हाट वी आर सीइंग इज दिस आर द 11 चैलेंज. नाउ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन कैसा हो रहा है. तो ये जो चैलेंजेस है आपने एनईपी अभी पढ़ेंगे, बिकॉज अभी जो कंपटीशन है उसमें भी आप लोग उसमें क्लोजली एनईपी का अध्ययन करेंगे और उसका एक स्टडी भी करेंगे. तो आई विल नॉट गेट इनटू द डिटेल्स, बट व्हाट आई वांटेड टू से 3 पॉइंट्स. वन इज एक पॉलिसी बनाने के लिए वो एक लाइफ साइकिल है, उससे जो एविडेंस गैदर किया गया था उससे ये जो 11 challenges what I'm showing on the screen have been identified. Now, third part I want to discuss is, which I don't have the slide, but I'll talk through the discussion, is that how is to be implemented. Because अभी जो है policy है, अभी practice को ये वो जो 11 challenges है highlight किया गया है, but how do we now implement? Now there are 3 important aspects of implementation. First one is that every individual, whether it is student, parent, teacher, administrator, or a government servant at a state level or at a central level, all are equally responsible in implementing it. We should not simply always say government is responsible. It is a collective effort because education benefits all of us directly or indirectly, but it is our individual response. Number one, this is at a first level. Second, now there are issues about financial support, financial availability, finance availability, जो 6% GDP का जो debate चल रहा है वगैरह वगैरह. But what happens is NEP 2020 says, see, don't depend only on the government but also look for alternative sources also. जैसे कि जो कॉर्पोरेट सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है, फिलंथ्रॉफी, पब्लिक स्पिरिटेड फिलंथ्रॉफी जो है, दैट आल्सो कुड बी अ सोर्स ऑफ अलुमनाई फंड्स जो आता है. अभी जहाँ पे हम लोग देखे बड़े बड़े इंस्टीट्यूशन लाइक स्टैनफोर्ड, हार्वर्ड आर बिल्ट ऑन अलुमनाई फंड्स आल्सो. दे कंट्रीब्यूट बिकॉज वो एक ओनरशिप होता है, वो एक हमारा एक खुशी होता है कि आप लोग वापस दें हमारे इंस्टीट्यूशन को, राइट. सो दैट इज आल्सो वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. सो दैट ऑटोनॉमी शुड बी गिवन टू इंस्टीट्यूशन. वो ऑटोनॉमी इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए दिया गया है. एनईपी में उसका एक discussion किया गया है and policy recommendation has been made wherein each institution must develop institutional development plans. उसमें वो clearly they should define that how are they going to seek alternative source of funding, and that has to be approved by an independent board of governors, and that has to be also displayed publicly. Public disclosure होगा उस document का. Then accordingly they will be engaging in audits also, and in order to getting those, it's not like they're completely free to get all the money from elsewhere. There is a process for it. वो एक misunderstanding काफी जगह पे हो रहा है कि अच्छा इंस्टीट्यूशन को फुल ऑटोनॉमी दिए गए तो कैन डू व्हाटएवर दे वांट. नो, there is a process. The third one is very important. Respective state governments का रोल इसमें बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है because education as per the constitution is in the concurrent list of the constitution, unlike health which is a state list. तो इधर क्या होता है कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन द डायरेक्शन, अ पॉलिसी. नाउ द स्टेट गवर्नमेंट्स हैव टू रेस्पॉन्ड टू इट, एंड दैट इज अ वेरी चैलेंजिंग थिंग. At the same time, it is important that each state government comes out with their policy or action, how to implement this. So I can give one example of Karnataka, which currently they are finalizing it. एक टास्क फोर्स का एक सिस्टम जो अभी उन्होंने डेवलप किया है इधर कर्नाटका में, with all the education experts being part of it. They have developed two important themes, एक school education के लिए, एक higher education. जो however NEP does not differentiate between school and higher education, but for operational purpose they have divided two sectors. But I'll talk more about higher education for the clarity sake. Within higher education, two subcommittees have been formed, task force committees. One is to look into governance and regulation related issues, how to implement that. The other one is to look into curriculum and assessment issues. But let me talk more about governance and regulation. That's important. That is because systemic change. In the next 2 minutes, and I'll stop there. Governance and regulation में major changes ये लाया गया है कि that the central government and the state government has to have healthy relationships, and it should not be something like there is a overt central government control on state government. So what has, for example, in the central government they are talking about 4 independent verticals under one major vertical, one major body called Higher Education Commission of India. Under that there are 4 autonomous verticals: National Higher Education Regulatory Authority, then National Accreditation Council, then General Education Council, and then we have also one on the Research Council. So in that sense, there are 4 bodies. Karnataka government maybe वो 4 bodies लाए गए, right? So they have been also brought in as State Higher Education Regulatory Authority, except NAC, National Accreditation Council. All the other 3 verticals, that is State Higher Education Regulatory Authority, State Education Council, and then also State Grants Council. They are also been done at state level. So it's a way they have maintained the spirit of federalism. It's not centralization, except NAC, which is NAC also. आज भी जो हम देखते हैं, NAC is central government agency today also, because it is an autonomous body under UGC. But here it is being brought as an independent body separately. So what I'm trying to say is governance and regulation में एक जो अनुष्ठान का एक प्लान ऑफ एक्शन बोला गया है कि उसमें एक सिस्टम लाया गया है. सो गवर्नेंस एंड रेगुलेशन में कर्नाटका गवर्नमेंट में 3 मेजर चेंजेस बताए गए हैं. एक है कि कर्नाटका स्टेट यूनिवर्सिटी एक्ट, जो अभी एक्ट on which basis higher education institutions have been established, needs amendment in order to align with NEP 2020 and its vision. For example, जो हम लोग बोलते हैं कि 3 types of university: research university, teaching university, degree awarding autonomous college, जो NEP में बताया गया है. अगर हमको वो इम्प्लीमेंट करना है तो appropriate amendments have to be made in the Karnataka State Universities Act, for example. So that is in the process. Second, Karnataka has a higher education council already. Karnataka State Higher Education Council, वो एक system already काफी दिन से चल रहा है. Under RUSA, it is already established. Now it has to be now amended to become Karnataka State Higher Education Regulatory Authority with some more additional powers and responsibilities. Third is in terms of having identifying institutions in Karnataka, for example. ऐसे यूपी भी हो सकता है, हिमाचल प्रदेश में भी हो सकता है, बिहार में भी हो सकता है, मतलब हर स्टेट में ऐसा हम लोग कर सकते हैं. तीसरा जो कर रहे हैं कि एग्जिस्टिंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस जो है, जैसे कर्नाटका में 55 यूनिवर्सिटी है, 3078 कॉलेजेस है. नाउ इसमें से जो अभी रेडी है, टाइप 1, टाइप 2, टाइप 3, वो एक आइडेंटिफाई कर रहे हैं बेस्ड ऑन नैक एक्रेडिटेशन अभी के लिए. एंड देन पायलट करेंगे कि अगले 3 साल में ये लोगों, मतलब जो इंस्टीट्यूशन आइडेंटिफाई किया जाएगा उनका, जैसे इंडियन यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ साइंस है, वो रिसर्च यूनिवर्सिटी बनने के लिए अभी रेडी है. मैसूर यूनिवर्सिटी जो कर्नाटका में है, वो एक टीचिंग यूनिवर्सिटी विद रिसर्च बनाने के लिए रेडी है. जैसे सेंट जोसेफ कॉलेज है, माउंट कार्मल कॉलेज है, जैसे हमारे जो ऑटोनॉमस कॉलेज है, वो लोग डिग्री अवॉर्डिंग ऑटोनॉमस कॉलेज बनने के लिए रेडी है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल. तो अभी उसको आइडेंटिफाई किया जाएगा, 3 साल के लिए उनको एक पायलट के लिए ये किया जाएगा, आइडेंटिफाई किया जाएगा और उस हिसाब से उनको इम्प्लीमेंट किया जाएगा. तो ये 3 प्रोसेस जो है गवर्नेंस एंड रेगुलेशन में, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आर गोइंग थ्रू. बट don't we are not going to expect implementation today or tomorrow. It is a gradual phase. But one interesting last point I would like to make here is that there is a unique system in NEP 2020 which has to be something that we have to wait and watch in terms of how it would be engaging. Is that unlike our earlier policies, in this policy we call it that there is a temporality. matlab, in other words, every almost important policy recommendation has a time bound कि ये हमको 2032 में अचीव करना है, ये हमको 2035 में अचीव करना है, 2040 में ये होना चाहिए. मतलब एक अकाउंटेबिलिटी मैकेनिज्म इनबिल्ट है सिस्टम, right? So whichever individual it is, whichever institution it is, whichever the government is, they are supposed to be accountable to deliver now. ये हम लोग प्रीवियस पॉलिसी में हम देखते नहीं. सो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन के ऑलरेडी एक इनिशियल रोड मैप जैसे हम बोलते हैं वो अभी बनाया गया है, मगर इट ऑल डिपेंड्स अपॉन हाउ डू वी एंगेज नाउ, हाउ डू वी इम्प्लीमेंट collectively, and your ideas in my NEP becomes very, very important. So in addition to giving ideas of the policy or related to policy, your ideas for implementation as a responsible stakeholder of education is, and especially you are going to be the beneficiaries also in course of time, directly or indirectly. It is very important that we need to have your ideas and thoughts for implementation. अनुष्ठान के लिए जो आपको अभी पॉलिसीज का एक गाइडलाइंस है, रोड मैप है, जरूर है, इसीलिए आपका आइडियाज ऑन implementation is very, very important because you are in the practice while the policy is there. So now we have to bridge the policy and the practice and tell us how do we go about implementing. So I gave only example of Karnataka today, but in other state it could be different because Karnataka they already done it. In fact, परसों ही एक draft का finalize किया गया है, so it's almost there, but it takes time. But we need your ideas, your thoughts. With this, I will stop. If there are any clarifications, questions, I'll be happy to discuss. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Sir, there's one question. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So there's one question that people and many of us want to ask. You spoke about one of the challenges, that is, how does the center work with the states, especially now that the policy is national education policy. And we've seen these challenges unfold in states like Tamil Nadu and perhaps even northeastern states. So how do you see this in the days to come, and how can we overcome these challenges so that perhaps 25 years later, when children from other states grow, and the vision that you had in making this NEP, that students from these states will unwilling or have some apprehensions are not left behind. How do we address that, sir?
Yeah, so you're talking about fragmentation within the system, not just about higher education, which is true. And that is obvious because education is an organic entity, it is not mechanical. Each one will have their own perception, fears, anxiety, thoughts, and so on and so forth, aspirations. So it is quite but obvious to say that states will have different perception because it's an organic body and there is a lot of subjectivity, ideological positioning, and all those things. However, in the past, we have seen the same sense of anxiety was there with NEET, NEET, when we had thought about the national entrance test for examination. Similar anxiety was there with making this three language issue, which was also discussed in previous policies. So what happens is currently the states might be responding in a mixed perception, like some excited, some, and not only states, there are also heads of the institutions who have mixed perception and opinion. There are 20 vice chancellors who have said that they are not in alignment with this. There are many vice chancellors who have accepted it. So there is always this, and that's a good thing of a policy. It's not a bad thing because debates, dialogue, and deliberation is very important, and that's how a document gets matured. But what I see going forward is that more and more states come forward because education being in concurrent list and also being so dependent as a nationwide issue, not only for building nation but also for nation per se, there is a tendency that some of the states who are not keen would gradually fall into place because of the pressure and peer pressure of the students. Imagine there is a tendency that X state is not able to align with another state which is doing, let's say, academic credit system, and the students often would have want that flexibility because NEP is not saying that students must be limited to that state. They should be given so much flexibility that they can have the credits transferred into the academic bank credit, ABC, and they can go to other state and just withdraw that credit and apply that. That's the flexibility they're trying to vision. So once that system falls in place, then one has to see that how states will also, that's called the domino effect, right? So other state will also trying to fall, but it would take time, and NEP is not saying please do it tomorrow. It's a gradual phase and it has to be taking into account. So that way I feel little optimistic that going forward, not all policy points but at least the few important ones are gradually going to fall in place. And yeah, so emotions will be different, I agree, but at the same time, sometimes we have to be a little rational and see what is relevant and what is not relevant. Yeah, that way I feel
Right.
that there is going to be an effect. Yeah,
Thank you, sir. I'm sure that a billion Indians are also optimistic about the national education policy, and hence we are having this discussion. Sir, thank you so much for your valuable
pleasure.
time and insights on the topic. It has been an enriching experience for all of us here. Thank you so much for joining us today, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
For all our viewers, our speaker for tomorrow will be Sri Shiv Kumarji, National Secretary, Vidya Bharati. Until then, thank you and goodbye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. All the best for all the students participants. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.